So when we talk about games from our childhood that everyone forgot about, My Sims is definitely on top of that list. Released in September of 2007, it was made to be a spin-off of the widely popular Sims series. Released on platforms like the Wii, DS, and Windows, they sold over 1 million copies of this game. And heck, there was even supposed to be a Game Boy Advanced version of this game, but it was scrapped early in its development. It did so well that there were even a few spin-offs made, like My Sims Racing, Kingdoms, and Agents, each game having their own success. But sadly, after the 2010 release of My Sims Sky Heroes, there were no new games added to the series, and the franchise has been pretty much forgotten about ever since. In this video, we will only focus on the first game, My Sims, with videos on the others coming later on. So go ahead, sit back and enjoy as we take a look back at My Sims. When you start a new game, you'll be greeted by Mayor Rosalind as she gives you a brief backstory of her town. She says her town is very unique and used to be full of life and happy Sims. This was thanks to a special Sim that had the power to use essence to build all sorts of nice things. But this Sim completely disappeared without a trace and nobody knows where he went. This caused the town to slowly go downhill and Sims started to move away. But she hears that there's another Sim that has the ability to use essence and that they're coming to her town. And spoiler alert, that Sim is you. After you create your character, it's time to go to the town hall and meet Mayor Rosalind. She tells you how glad she is to see that you've came to help rebuild their town. She goes on and says that the town is a bit run down and there aren't many Sims living here anymore, but she knows that you'll bring the town back to its former glory in no time. Then she tells you to follow her and she'll lead you to your house, and then whenever you get there, well, there's a pile of rubble. You know, while it's kind of funny, it's actually a little bit sad because she probably led you on here thinking that you were like already had a house and everything, just to get you to come here and save this town, because there are literally only 4 people living in this entire town. I mean, heck, this town doesn't even have a grocery store. The only business that it does have is a flower shop. But this is where you get introduced to the building mechanics, which is pretty much the premise of this entire game. The building in this game is pretty simple. There's no complex like interior building mechanics or anything like that. You kind of just place down like these blocks and a roof, and that's it. You do obviously also have to add a door, and you can add some windows too, and there's plenty of like decorative objects too that you can add, but other than that, it's really as simple as it can be. After you're done building your house, Mayor Rosalind decides to show you your workshop, and once again, there's nothing there, so you're going to have to build this too. We'll talk more about what this workshop does later in the video. After you finish the tutorial, you are now free to play this game. So obviously to build up this town, you're going to have to find new Sims first. To do that, you'll find Sims hanging out in the hotel lobby. These are tourists, and I'm not sure why they're here, and I'm not sure why they're visiting this town, but either way, you ask them to move in, and for some reason they do accept. Each of these Sims have their own unique personalities and interests, and they'll want you to build their house to reflect that. In terms of what they want you to build, there are 2 main Sims that you will come across, and those 2 categories are residential and commercial. Residential Sims usually only want you to build a house. They normally don't give you any extra task to do that will count towards the completion of the game, but you don't have to do this to complete the game. It's just something you can do to have the Sim like you more. Commercial Sims, on the other hand, usually want you to build something that's more than just a house. They want a place that will let them express their interest to other Sims. Chef Gino wants you to build him a pizzeria so he can make his world famous pizza. Roxy wants you to build her an ice cream shop, and Dr. F wants you to build him a laboratory so he can continue his quest for world domino shoes. Whatever those are supposed to be. After you build these Sims their places, they'll start having you build certain things that they need. This is what the workshop is for. Sims will have you come here and build many different things. You build things like a pizza oven for Chef Gino, an arcade machine for Vic, and heck, you even build knockoff historical relics for Vincent to make his museum look more appealing. Every Sim will want you to build something that's relevant to them, but not only do they want you to build these items, they also want you to decorate them with essence. But before we get into that, you might be asking, what are essence anyway? So the best way to explain what essence are, they're pretty much just a bunch of items that have personality attached to them. You can find them all over the map, and Sims will want you to go out and go find these things. Your first introduction to them will be going to the town garden and grabbing some apple essence, and Mayor Rosalind will have you build her a podium with these things so she can practice her speeches. Building with essence is usually pretty simple, but it can also be a huge pain too, especially whenever Sims want you to put an insane amount of these essence on the things that you're building for them. Normally you just try to paint the essence on each building block of the object you just built, but most of the time time, especially later on in the game, you're going to have to put so many of these essence on, you're either going to have to expand the object that you just built, or just put a crap ton of these things all over it and it looks like a monstrosity. So it's probably a good thing that the Sims don't really care what the objects look like. But there are over 80 different types of essence in this game, and some of them, if you really think about it, are kind of weird. And what can be even stranger is how you find some of these things. Like, you can literally grow a tree that only grows ghosts and eyeballs. This has really got to be the only children's game I've ever played that lets you plant an eyeball tree. Another way to find essence is to go prospecting. There are areas around each map that are designated to prospecting, and you can find them by seeing these rocks with these crystals pointed out of it. A majority of the essence that you'll be needing will be found by prospecting. Things like stone, dinosaur fossils, spiders, bacon, cake, aliens, puppies, and a magic carpet can all be found by prospecting. And there are many more that can be found by prospecting, and obviously this game isn't meant to be taken that seriously, so I guess we can just look past the part of digging in the middle of the desert for puppies. You can also earn essence just by simply interacting with Sims. Being nice to a Sim usually gives you happy essence, but sometimes depending on the Sim it does give you others depending on their interest. And being mean to a Sim usually gives you the angry or sad essence, but I think there's probably a couple more, but I just haven't found them yet. Alright, so now that we've talked about building in essence, it's now time to talk about interests. There are 6 different types of interest in this game, and every Sim in the game will have one that they love, one that they like, and one that they absolutely hate. Take Dr. F for example. He's a huge geek and he also likes food, but he absolutely hates cute things. Or another good example is Jenny. She's also a huge geek and literally only talks about her favorite movie, Starship X. She also loves books but hates spooky things. Sims will have you build their houses based off of these interests and will love or hate the things that you build for them depending on the essence that you use. So as you keep building up the town, you've probably noticed the star level meter at the top left corner of the screen. Putting it in the simplest way possible, your town's star level is pretty much the progress meter for the game. The more Sims you move in and the more tasks you complete for them increases your star level. Each time you go up on your star level, you unlock more Sims that you can invite to your town, and you also unlock more locations on the map. You unlock the forest and the desert, which gives you more lots to put new Sims, and lets you have access to a lot more essence, which you can find in new prospecting locations or gardens that had trees that you didn't have access to in the main world. All of these things will help you progress quicker through the game, and in no time you'll have the town booming again. So yeah, that was My Sims. It's a really fun game from back in the day that I feel like everybody's just forgotten about, and I really enjoyed making this video, and I hope you guys enjoy it too, because I kind of hope this video kind of sparks a little bit more nostalgia for this game, and maybe people will be more actively posting about this. Because it's kind of sad to see this game get completely swept under the rug like it has. But there's definitely still a community for it, and I'm going to put a link down in the description, and that's to the My Sims wiki, because I could have never made this video without it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please leave a like, and if you want more content like it, please subscribe. See you guys in the next one.